Good morning, everyone. It's a real honor and a privilege to be here. Every time I've come back to India, I'm always captured by the energy of the place, the entrepreneurial energy, the energy of everyone I meet in terms of how they're able to seize on the opportunities ahead and to really overcome any of the constraints that get put on the way with ingenuity, which is just so great to see. So this morning I wanted to talk about Microsoft, and I wanted to talk about our sense of purpose. In fact, I want to start there, because every successful company has a core sensibility and a sense of purpose. For us at Microsoft, it is about empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. That's the sense of purpose that we have. In fact, if you go back 40 years when Microsoft was started, when Bill and Paul started the company, the first product that Bill, in fact, wrote the code for was a basic interpreter. And the idea behind that was to put a tool in the hands of developers all over the world so that they could take advantage of the new microcomputer revolution. A lot has happened in the 40 years since, but that core sensibility is what drives us even today. We had a mission of putting a PC on every desk in every home, but in retrospect, that was a goal. Our mission was to empower every individual and organization. That's really what I look at as we go forward. And of course, technology has changed. Today, we get to realize this mission in what I describe as a mobile-first, cloud-first world. Because when you think about the next 5 years, next 10 years, what's going to be true is there is going to be more computing in our lives. There's going to be computers that we're going to be wearing in our wrists. There's going to be computers that we'll have on our eyes. There's going to be computers in the rooms that we walk, the big screens, the small screens, things without no screens at all, like sensors. So computing will be everywhere. And what is going to be key will be the mobility of our human experience across all of that computing fabric. And that's only going to be possible because of the cloud. That's one of the reasons why I think about both mobility and the cloud going together. It is not the mobility of any one device, but it is about the mobility of the human experience through all of the computing in our lives. That's truly where technology is going to go. Of course, the question is, what is it that we as a company, we as Microsoft are going to do in this changing world, in this changing technology? For us, we have three interlocking ambitions. And I call them ambitions because it's a technology agenda that is going to be realized in multiple years, and we want to go at it very boldly. The first is about reinvention of productivity and business process. If you think about it, in all this abundance that we have around us when it comes to computing power, what is scarce still is our time, our attention. And the idea that computing can in fact help us allocate the scarce resource, which is our time, in smart ways, is at the core of productivity. And to me, productivity, you can view it as a narrow thing, or it is the real pursuit of everything that we do with digital technology. It is the core of how an individual progresses. It is how a company makes progress. It is how the entire economies and society at large make progress. That's why we obsess about reinvention of productivity. We want to make sure that work no longer is a place you go to. Work is about making things happen and getting things done wherever you are. That's why that notion of mobility of the experience. Work is also not a solo experience anymore. Work happens because you are part of a team. You're part of a network. The idea of bringing and harnessing the power of those networks and teams is what we want to do with the services and tools we provide. And everything that we are doing with tools like Office 365 are built for networks and teams. In fact, we don't just want to stop there. We want to take it even a step forward by talking about the organizational intelligence. It's no longer about an individual tool. It is no longer even about just the productivity and the collaboration tools, but it's about having a real vision for how the entirety of all the data that you have, your documents, your relationship with other people inside of the organization, your schedule or your calendar, your communications, all can be brought together to help you and your organization be more productive. That's the bold vision, that's the bold ambition that we have when we think about reinvention of productivity. We also don't want to stop by just thinking of communications or collaboration or productivity tools. We want to think about business process as part of this. Because business processes ultimately have exceptions. It's the human beings who are dealing with those exceptions. And so therefore the idea that we want to bring the productivity tools and the business process tools together and harmonize them is core to how we want to make progress. And I thought one of the things I love doing is in fact showing some of the tools that I use on a daily basis, working at Microsoft, to really harness all of this technology. How do I make decisions? How do I have discussions across the team? How do I discover and harness the information inside of the company? So let me just give you a little bit of a whirlwind tour of some of the tools that I use on a daily basis. So let me start with this phone. It's not my phone, but it's an iPhone. And I like to sometimes refer to this as an iPhone Pro because it's got all the Microsoft software on it. And it's fantastic. There's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, there's Yammer, there's Delve. One of the tools that is most indispensable to me, which has really changed my life, is OneNote. Because it's really brought together all of the information that I use on a daily basis and organize it. In fact, it's my entire last year or 2 years or 3 years, every meeting that I've had, every pre-brief I've read, every note I've taken is available as a repository for me to search. Anytime I meet someone, I can always go back to what was discussed or what was said or what notes I took in that meeting. So I have that all. In fact, I also have one very cool thing where my team puts together what's even happening in social media, what's happening even on Yammer internally. Because one of the things that us as leaders have to be in touch with is the sentiment of our customers, partners, as well as our employees. All of that information is captured for me in OneNote. It's organized by my agenda. And this tool, the fact that it's available on every platform and it goes where I go, is super, super helpful. Of course, the other tool that is indispensable is email. Now, this email client, Outlook on iOS, happens to be the best email client for Gmail and Exchange on iOS. Think about that for a minute, because the idea of building tools wherever you are, but helping you get more out of your time, especially with email triage is the most important thing. I want to be able to quickly look at things and either flag them for later or delete them. By just swiping left or right, I can quickly triage my mail. But one of the things that we've done is used machine learning capability to make sure that when you're on the go, you can focus on those pieces of emails from your customers, from your partners, that most important deal that you're working on is what you draw your attention to. So that's the notion of a focused folder, is to really bring your attention to things that matter the most at a given point in time. So this is about, again, using data to keep you focused on things that you really need to pay attention to. So that's a great sort of application of technology and productivity. Now let me move to talk about to the Windows Phone, which is actually the phone that I use. This is the 950 XL, which is going to be available in India in the next couple of months. And the thing that I love about this phone is the fact that every application tile is a live tile, and it gives me information even before opening an application. And one of the other indispensable tools for me, both at work and at home, is, in fact, my Wunderlist application. And Wunderlist happens to be a way I keep track of my to-dos. And I have both what's in my family. It looks like my daughter has assigned me a task of teaching her Minecraft. I have my 15K mile service that I need to do. So I manage all of the things that I need to do at home or at work. And the fact that they're both here, this is homework, for example, is all the things that my office assigns for me as homework that I need to get done before I show up at work every morning. The idea that we now have a simple way, wherever you are, to be able to track the tasks that you need to complete. And again, it goes with you where you go. And another application that we just launched, which we're very, very excited about, is Groups. As I talked about, productivity no longer is about individual tools, but it's about groups of people, and in fact, networks. So this is not an organizational group, i.e., it's not a hierarchy. It's a group that you are part of. And in our case, for example, the senior leadership team group is what I interact with. All the pieces of messaging that goes on between members of this group is available to me. I can like somebody's message, I can reply, but it's also the shared calendar, the shared OneNote notebook for that group is available to me as I navigate my day and I traverse through information. So these are great examples of tools on your phone. Now, one of the things that we're doing is we're not stopping at building a phone that's 5 inches or 6 inches that you can use all of these applications. One of the unique things about Windows phones are that they are, in fact, capable of delivering a PC-like experience. So I just connect this 950 XL to a keyboard and a monitor, and I have a full PC. So this, by the way, is a full PC-like experience, but it's being powered by my phone here. And the Windows Continuum is a breakthrough feature, and especially in a market like India, where you can take that one computing device you have, which is your entry to computing, and have it not only be your phone, but also your PC. And so now I can do all the things that one does on a PC. All my keyboard shortcuts work, so I can have PowerPoint, I can have Excel, Wunderlist, OneNote. All of the things that you're used to on a PC is available now on your phone. You can imagine all of the scenarios where you're on the road, you want to work on a document, you want to really go use a real keyboard, it's so much more possible for you to do so. So that's just an example of how our phone innovation and productivity come together. Now let me move over to my Surface Pro 4. I don't know if you noticed what happened. It recognized that I was just standing in front of the computer and it logged me in. And this is the power of Windows Hello, where it does the face recognition and logs you right in. I mean, think about one of the biggest issues of security is passwords. So one of the things that we are working on is a world where passwords are not going to be the ones that get hacked, but you really have other biometrics that really help us secure our computing interfaces. Here I'm in Outlook. This is a new Outlook version as part of Office 16. Again, some of the same capability that you saw. Groups is one place where I start even in Outlook on the desktop. And I have my same group that I was using on the phone here, so I have all of those mails. We have the same notion of clutter. This is the idea of using machine learning and taking mail that is not that important and putting it into a folder which you can go look at later, so that your inbox is always clean and lean. Now, if I go to inbox, you'll see that there's a bunch of pieces of email, and one of the pieces of email I have is on Delve Analytics. And by the way, you also notice that we have all the add-ins that are available now. So it's not just about your email, but even your business process applications, be it Dynamic, be it Salesforce, be it anything, or Wunderlist in this case, can integrate with your email client because you get your work done in email. The one nice or interesting new feature for us is Delve Analytics. If you look at what has happened with our health band, so I wear this Microsoft band, it's got 18 sensors in it, it tracks all kinds of things, and every day I go to my portal and look at my calorie intake, my calorie output, all my sleep, and so on. So there's fantastic analytics about my personal wellness and health. So we took that idea and said, what if we applied the same kind of analytics to your work? And Delve Analytics talks about, it gives you the same level of insight to all of your time spent at work, all of your communications at work. So in this case, it tells me that I can probably save some time by managing my more ineffective meetings. It tells me the amount of time I spent in email, how much time do I do after hour work, what is my focus time. This is just reasoning over that graph of data about people, their calendars, their communications, their relationships with other people. So we are again using advanced analytics to introspect and reason over your personal data so that we can give you assistance on really allocating your scarce resource, your time. It not only does that, but it also is smart enough to detect the people that I'm collaborating with, and more importantly, people I should collaborate with, especially since it knows about your tasks. It knows about the things that you need to get done. It really helps me even meet the people that I should be collaborating with to get things done. And so this is just an example of what analytics brought, organizational analytics brought to personal productivity could mean. Now, Delve is not just about individual analytics, it's also an information discovery tool. You can even think of it as a Facebook-like newsfeed for work. In fact, I go to this every morning as a way to visualize the work that is going on in the company. All of us work in organizations, different sizes, small or large. Wouldn't you love to know what exactly is happening at any given moment? And a lot of what is happening is captured in these artifacts of work. It could be spreadsheets, documents, it could be records in business systems. And this, in fact, is a live feed of all the work that is happening inside of your organization. So I discover, for example, an RFP that is an important one, a customer issue that somebody is working on as a top issue, because it's not, again, an organizational view. If anything, we have to break out of any organizational view because information has been captured and really does not disseminate well because of organizational structural issues. So if we can break free of it, you can, in fact, be much more in the know of what you need to focus your attention on. I can even pivot by people. So Peggy, who works on my team, runs our business development. I can go in and look at what she's working on, and I know that she's working on a document which is a Windows 10 feedback. One of the other big cultural changes for us has been the use of BI to gain insights. Just because you have big data doesn't mean you have big insights. And the idea of creating these analytical tools that give you that insight is a very, very important push. In fact, the notion of getting in touch with leading indicators of change versus lagging indicators is a very important thrust for any of us running organizations. So in this case, I have the ability to visualize data. We can get data sources from inside of the organization. You can connect to any data source in any application you're using. And simply, it's a canvas. Not only is it a dashboard, but it's also a canvas for you to be able to ask questions. So for example, since we're looking at Windows 10 feedback data, I can go look at Twitter data for sentiment and ask it questions. So I can do, for example, number of tweets by hashtag. And you see, as I'm typing it, it's coming up with the answer and the right visualization. So let's even make it and sentiment. And so it keeps giving me another visualization. And let's make it even more interesting by saying, for the last hour. And in real time, it's taking the petabytes of Twitter stream data on your brand and helping you recognize those patterns that are super important for you to be in touch with every moment of every day. And that's the kind of power that BI tools married with big data can provide. And of course, now one of the other things that we can do is not only are we able to look at data, but I can annotate on this. The fact that it's on a surface, I can go take a look at this, I can go ahead, use my pen, annotate it, share it, because insights come because you as a leader have been able to recognize a small pattern in all that big data and share it with others in your organization so that you can act on it. That, to me, is how we can drive the next level of productivity. And I wanted to give you that as a way to internalize how productivity tools are not an abstract concept that somebody else uses, but it's important for every leader in this room to be using these digital tools to augment your judgment, to augment your ingenuity and your productivity. And that's really the mission that we have. The second ambition we have is about building out an intelligent cloud. This is the cloud infrastructure that Bhaskar talked about that we've launched in India. In fact, now we have a local cloud that opens up global opportunities for every Indian organization and every public sector organization. And the exciting thing about the cloud is not only does it give you this infinite capacity now to be able to chase your dream, to be able to scale your businesses, scale your organizations, but it also perhaps does one very important thing, which is it helps you take advantage of one of the core assets that you have today, but it's undercapitalized, which is your data. How do we turn that exhaustive data that you have about your customers, about your machines, about your products, and convert it into the fuel that powers your competitive advantage, your differentiation? If in anything, if you ask 5 years from now, the applications that each one of you is going to have, the real characteristic that is going to differentiate that application from today's is going to be how you were able to harness the power of data to convert it into intelligence. And we are now seeing the power of the cloud manifest in very broad ways across the entire landscape of India. It's small businesses, large businesses, public sector, every state. And I just want to give you a couple of examples that are very inspiring to me. The first one is a company called PALS, which is a startup. They built an application which has a mobile front end, runs on our cloud, addressing the needs of small farmers all over India. The idea that a farmer, through their entire life cycle, can find information, whether they're selecting the seed, the type of crop that they want to grow, financing needs when time comes, to be able to find buyers, intervention if anything goes wrong. Even if you do not have the skills of literacy, how can we just use speech? How can we use pictures to be able to get at the information that can help you be more productive? That's the kind of innovation that this entrepreneur was able to take again, this global cloud technology that is available locally, and produce this application. And the beautiful thing about this story for me was that not only is this entrepreneur producing an app that's going to get used all over India, but now already he's thinking about how do I scale it to Indonesia? How do I take it to Africa? That's what's going to happen to every entrepreneur who builds applications going forward in this country. A second case study that I came across is from L.V. Prasad. In fact, Dr. Rao is here, and it's just so inspiring to see what this institution itself has done for eye care. What they've done in terms of democratizing affordable eye care throughout the country, and that's fantastic to see. But then you peek beneath that, and then you realize that it's inspired leadership. It's that human ingenuity in the leadership of that company, that organization, where they're looking at data as a way to continuously improve. So they've taken all of the clinical data and they reason over it continuously to make improvements. So they went and recognized some patterns of what happens in post-operative care, what particular procedures should be followed so that the post-operative care is most efficient. How can they, in fact, reduce the price of affordable care so that they can, in fact, democratize it even further? That type of usage, it's only with great leaders and great and in combination with technology can you go about doing that? And another example is what's happening in education. In fact, one of the most exciting things for me in this trip is to see the various public sector organizations throughout the country, from UP to Tamil Nadu to Maharashtra to Gujarat and to Andhra, where they're using technology to truly create citizen services that are just going to change the lives of people in this country. One of the big issues of education, of course, is ultimately about great teachers and about students being engaged by these great teachers. Because technology can help, but ultimately it is about the school which has the teachers, has the students who are motivated, the parents who are involved. And it's hard. And one of the things that the state government of Andhra Pradesh is doing is try and analyze where are the dropout rates going to be high, because they're able to collect a lot of data about student enrollments and dropouts, and in fact start predicting what may happen, and then take the scarce resources of the state and focus them in areas, to students and to schools where they can have the maximum impact. So it's not about substituting. Technology by itself is not going to substitute great teaching and great motivation on part of students, but it can help focus the state resources so that they can get better outcomes. That's just one narrow example, and you can imagine what can happen in healthcare and in many, many other sectors that the state is involved in. And of course, another very exciting thing that's happening in India is with startups and e-commerce. It's actually pretty mind-blowing to see how e-commerce is progressing in this country. The estimates I read was something like by 2020, it's going to have $100 billion of commerce that's going to happen just as e-commerce. Now, it's not, we of course have very big companies already. There's people like Snapdeal, Paytm, Just Dial, who are all participating. We are partnering with them, not only to help them, of course, but it's the impact they have across their entire supply chain, their customer base. So Windows 10, Cortana, Skype, really integrating the e-commerce capabilities of these companies. But small businesses, sellers who are doing e-commerce through these new channels, getting more productive because of tools like Office 365 and Azure, is what we are very, very excited to partner with these companies to bring about to India. Another area is startups. We've in fact run some accelerators in India for now a couple of years and had tremendous success. And one of the things that's exciting to me is the kind of startups that can change the landscape of urban India. So we're starting a special program as part of the Prime Minister's Smart Cities, the Chief Minister's Smart City initiatives, to say, how do we give startups that are going after all these urban issues of education, of health, logistics, energy, and give them a platform. So what you see are a bunch of companies that are already using Azure and Azure credits to create ingenious solutions to the burgeoning urban migration and urban services issues in our country. So that's one of the things that I'm really, really excited to see how the cloud can truly accelerate. So I want to close out by talking about the last big ambition we have, which is about more personal computing, new types of computing, and new types of computers. Because that's the business we are in. We are in the business of inventing new experiences around computing. We want to innovate in both form and function, in input and in output. What we're doing with the Microsoft Band on one end to HoloLens on the other end, and everything in between, is about bringing new forms of more personal computing and new forms of computers. HoloLens in particular is amazing to see. In fact, it's such a new medium for us. Up to now in our computing history, we've always had this metaphor of mirroring what you see in the real world. Desktop is actually a metaphor, where you take the analog and you create a digital metaphor. But the exciting thing for us going forward is, for the first time in our history, we now have the ability to superimpose in an analog world digital content and holograms. And once you start doing that, you create a new medium. Think of an architect. How they design buildings is going to fundamentally change, because they can see the building that they're designing as they're designing it. Think about what will happen to medical education. Think about, I always dreamt growing up as an electrical engineer that someday I'll understand Maxwell's equations. And if I ever had this tool, I would have probably always understood it. That's the class of innovation and change in landscape that it'll bring about in terms of what computing devices can do to education, healthcare, and many, many other fields, industrial design. One of the things that we are very excited about is what application developers can do. It's one thing for us to create new platforms, but it's really the ingenuity of developers, going back to the very root of our company, and what they can do with these new types of computers. And one such developer, who calls himself an accidental developer because he's a musician, created an application called StaffPad, and he's changed how music is composed. He had this dream to change how music is created. Let's roll the video.
Where does that inspiration and desire to create come from? I think it partly comes from freedom. Freedom to think, to express ourselves. StaffPad recognizes my handwriting, and now, even my voice, and was a vision of how we could make technology melt away so that this device becomes just another surface to write music on. It took us years to build StaffPad. But being able to write music on something that's as light and thin as a magazine frees up my creativity and is incredibly empowering. So where does that inspiration come from? It's already inside all of us. But sometimes we just need the right tools to help us find it.
It's so cool to see this. In fact, I had a chance to talk to A.R. Rahman, who's a big user of StaffPad and Surface. But it's really StaffPad that has changed for him how he can compose music. And it's just such an endorsement to what a single developer with a dream to change something as old as music, and then for a composer of the class of A.R. Rahman to use it, is what I think makes it all worthwhile for us. I want to close out by saying that we are very excited about our new Surface launch and the new Surface devices. We've had lots of demand for it in India, and we are now announcing that by January we will have Surface Pro 4 in India, which is going to be a very, very exciting milestone for us. I want to close where I started. To us, it is about empowering every individual and every organization on the planet to achieve more. I thought Bhaskar said it right when he opened the sessions today by saying it is ultimately about amplifying the ingenuity of human beings, people. People of India have a tremendous opportunity ahead. We want to play a small part by empowering them with digital technology so that they can live their life to their fullest, they can chase their dreams and achieve more. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you.